And I started off muting. I've already got us looking like amateurs here, Aaron. I'm Warren. That's Aaron. This is Movie
I didn't
Talk
do anything.
special episode. Aaron barely does anything, but still finds some way to trigger me into doing something wrong. Aaron, I put this on you.
I'm quite persuasive.
This is Movie Talk, special edition of Movie Talk. We're going to be talking about James Gunn's most recent film, The Suicide Squad, with a lot of fanfare around this one. And, you know, I didn't intend to do any spoilers, but I put up a poll in the chat.
Hands!
Just to see how many people had seen Suicide Squad. And 64% said no.
Okay.
So there might be some spoilers. I don't know how we get around talking about the movie without some spoilers or something.
I think I can be vague
and I think,
enough.
Elia, are you trolling me? Are there sound issues? Can I get a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Obviously, it's Friday the 13th, so
God, please, no! No!
this stream couldn't go smoothly if we put our life on it. But
it is.
It is Friday the 13th. We should
Kind
have
of perfect for the Suicide Squad.
we should have done a Jason movie. But if you are not familiar with our podcast, we have a format here that we're going to skip through because this is a shorter abridged version. But usually Aaron and I talk about what we're watching on HBO Max, Netflix, anything cool that's coming up, any trailers we've seen. We throw some movie quotes at each other, which might have been fun given the audience. And we try to make a movie ourselves, right? We act as casting directors, producers, and we, you know, try to undo all the bad things that we are talking about with the upcoming movie review. And then we go into movie review. But given the context of, you know, the amount of time that we have here, I think it's better if we just start with, you know, what are you watching, Aaron? What are you watching right now?
Right now, just realized it, but the What If Marvel series just came out this past week.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I completely forgot when it was supposed to release, and I saw the first episode, Captain Carter, and I had fun with it. But there were some moments where I was a little underwhelmed. But overall, I had a good time. I'm curious what they're gonna do from episode to episode here on out.
I like the idea of the What If, right? They've got T'Challa as Star-Lord in one of those, and a few other kind of zany things that happen. The Captain Carter episode, like, is there still a love affair with Rogers? Because if so, he's like 5'1", right? And she's kind of like this big tank. It
gives me the newest Resident Evil vibes with Lady Dimitrescu, or the tall woman in the white dress. You'll recognize her from the meme when you Google her. But that's the vibe I'm getting. It's very small, tiny little Steve Rogers with like this like Amazonian, like Wonder Woman, like giant kind of heroine. That's what Captain Carter is. Like, she just got hulked out or super soldiered out. I think her scenes are the best, honestly.
Let me ask you a question then. You see now with the MCU how they're moving into this sort of prepackaged series type content. Does Scarlett Johansson have any grounds in, you know, her disagreement with Disney? She's like fighting to get into the box office during a pandemic for something that, like, I don't know anybody who's excited to see Black Widow. It's just my perspective.
I'll be honest. From watching the Suicide Squad, I watched both of them at home on streaming release, and I understand how that hurts the agreement maybe Scarlett Johansson was given. Like, she was promised I would get the box office results, but if everybody's streaming it, then she really doesn't get what she's owed, and it's her first movie. That feels kind of unfair. But at the same time, Black Widow, I enjoyed it more at home. I don't want to go to theaters to see that. I feel like that would have been a waste of time. And I'm not going to a theater in the middle of COVID for Black Widow. I will, however, do it for the Suicide Squad, because that was fun enough where I was like, I feel like this is a theater movie.
It is a theater movie, but I think you got to take pop culture in context, right? Like, look at the success of WandaVision and Loki and all these other MCU properties, and then to say, like, this is the hill that I'm gonna die on. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter, because at least you're dead. Because Disney, I think, has cut all ties with her. Disney is
Seriously.
like, you know what? We're willing to go to bat with this. And you've got me agreeing with Disney. Shame on you, Scarlett. Shame on you.
I agree with that. I'm glad we both feel the same way about that one. But I also I heard rumors that Warner Brothers is now approaching Scarlett Johansson. What do you feel about that?
Scarlett has never driven me to see a movie, so I don't care less. But
Yeah.
Christopher said something really, really important, which is the point I want to bring up. Shang-Chi, on the other side, is going to a theaters only release, which is kind of the polar opposite. And it's almost like they're setting Shang-Chi up to fail. I will go to the theater to see this because it's new IP, but I wonder why they made the decision to release that in theaters only and not put that on Disney Plus versus the other way around, right?
It feels
like
a little unfair. Like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, and then, the poor box office numbers inevitably coming from people not feeling comfortable in the theaters. I can see people allocating that to saying like, oh, see, we try to do a strong Asian male lead and like people didn't want to see it. So like that absolves us of doing this for the next 15 years.
Yeah, because there's people on that team looking at like different data from even the Suicide Squad, I heard, did not do well. It got only 26 million at the box office, and that was partly because of, everything that's going on right now, and then it was also streamed at home. So, which is very unfortunate considering the quality of the movie. But I think it's definitely going to hurt Shang-Chi, and I'm more excited about that than I was for Black Widow. And so it feels intentional. It feels like they're definitely trying to. It
does feel a little intentional. I don't want to put that on anybody, but like in our last podcast with Rain to Gray, humanity is awful, and there are a lot more reasons. Do you really need any other reason other than a monetary incentive to screw people over? No, you don't. I think we've covered that here. If you guys are just now getting into the podcast, this is our perspective. We approach all things from the lens of money corrupts everything, especially art. With that said, what do you think of like Idris Elba going from Bloodsport to Knuckles now in the Sonic 2 trailer?
That's in my notes. I wanted to talk about that. I'm so happy.
What kind of a career jump is that? All right, man. I think that's great casting, but like, what?
I agree. He's all over the place because like I think of like 4 major roles. He's in Pacific Rim, and then he goes from that to like Hobbs and Shaw, where he's the Black Superman.
He's Black Superman,
and I quote. And then Suicide Squad, and now does Knuckles. I can't wait to see him interact with Ben Schwartz. I feel like that's going to be a really funny dynamic. He's really good at playing the straight man, but he's very good at comedy too. Like,
did you forget that Jim Carrey was in this? You talking about interacting with Ben Schwartz? What a joke! Man.
Okay, I forgot that. I remembered he's like in a different reality right now. He's on Sonic's planet or something. But yeah, he's definitely going to come back. I can't wait.
Well, Kristen brought up a good point, because I feel like Knuckles and Sonic are kind of like Knuckles and Bloodsport are kind of, one's cartoony, but one's like a serious superhero or super
It's gonna
villain.
Be the same thing.
But the interaction he had with John Cena's character was like some of the best, when they were storming the beach and then like accidentally killed all the freedom fighters and they were just kind of like taunting each other.
I laughed so hard at the end of that scene because it was such a great build-up throughout it, and just be like, where are my men?
Well, another trailer that I saw that I got really excited by is the biopic of King Richard, who is Serena and Venus's dad. It's basically the story of raising Venus and Serena to become the Michael Jordans of tennis, and it focuses around their father, who has no tennis experience but was able to cultivate this gift, played by Will Smith. Will Smith is the dad in like what is it, The Quest for Happiness, or whatever that movie was,
Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness. It's kind of like the same sort of feel good stuff. I kind of have to see that. Serena, if you're not familiar with Serena and Venus's dad, he is a force. There's a famous YouTube video of this interviewer like talking about, interviewing Serena and asking what he perceived to be a simple question of, why are you so confident? Why are you? And he's just keeping going at her. And then Serena's dad basically ends the interview. He's like, she said she was going to win, right? She said she was going to win. So take that and move on to your next question, right? Like, he's like, don't throw any doubt into my kid. And I definitely want to see that movie. Yeah, he's a titan.
I gotta
especially
watch that.
raising multiple times over world champions.
Normally for me it's kind of like hit or miss sometimes when Will Smith tries to play a serious role, when I'm so used to seeing him as a lovable, approachable person. But I'm not going to deny I was a huge fan of The Pursuit of Happiness, I'm trying to remember the name of it, where he played Nelson Mandela. No, that was Morgan Freeman.
No.
No, it was Concussion. Actually, it was.
Oh yeah.
About
Tell the
when
truth.
he was.
Yeah.
Tell it. It was good. I think he plays
Ali.
a good role. Ali. I never. We should review that. Actually,
So Will Smith is an amazing actor, and I think people, actors are kind of like fashion, right? They come in and out of style, right? Like that's why some people have their moment. It's the most prevalent in comedy. Comedy is definitely like a timestamp, but dramatic actors seem to have a longer tapering off. But Will Smith is an amazing actor. And
there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, watching him in, it's not distracting. He's not doing anything tongue in cheek, and I think a lot of the pushback on Will Smith is it's a lot easier to criticize than it is to like. It becomes the edgy thing to do, to criticize versus to like something. So I feel like that's where a lot of the pushback on Will comes from.
I see your point. I will say this, me personally, I don't feel I'm doing it out of reaction alone, because there's definitely serious roles I love him in, and there's other serious roles where I'm like, I don't know, I can't really buy it that much. Like him in After Earth was not, I really couldn't buy that. I don't know, maybe it was the space accent that M. Night wanted everybody to have in that movie, but it just was not interesting, or I couldn't get pulled into the character. But there's definitely real true stories that he
brilliant segue. M. Night Shyamalan's got a film coming out called Old, and I can't wait to see it. Have you seen the trailer for this?
I have. I'm hoping it's good. He's been hit. Glass was fine, but what was the one where he had old parents?
Criticizing M. Night is also the fashionable thing to do. I'll give you Avatar, right? But everything else in the catalog is like and The Happening.
What? No.
The Happening was like,
and The Lady in the Water.
He will grow into a great orator.
Lady in the Water was a great concept that fell flat for sure. Okay, fair, but
what about
new ideas. It's new ideas. Parents are so Old seems like the inverse of Parents, right? Old is basically these people going to the beach, and then something mystical is happening on the beach, and then you age at a rapid pace. And inside the chat, David Pasol, I love The Village. The Village is one of my favorite movies of all time, but you have to, after you see it the first time, it falls off hard because you already know what the punchline is. But The Village is a masterpiece, by the way.
I agree with that one. I did see that one, but again, because of that same thing, I only saw it once and enjoyed it for what it was. But if you watch it again, scenes drone on longer because of that reveal, and the mystery is gone, which, it's his approach. I don't think it's bad because of it. I just think that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Because I like the ability to rewatch the movie and pick up something new. But it seems like all the subtleties, they give you enough time in The Village to pick up the subtleties in the background or something like that. So watching it again, doing it
that's kind of like slow boil that he's used to doing like that. I appreciate that. But on the completely opposite end of the directing spectrum is James Gunn, right? Doing things like Scooby-Doo, Guardians of the Galaxy, Super, Lollipop Chainsaw.
You did Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
And Lollipop Chainsaw?
Yeah.
What? I mean, I don't care. Lollipop Chainsaw is hilarious, though. I would not have. That makes sense, though, considering his comedy, like what he likes to joke at.
So he also did the original Suicide Squad, which I have some thoughts about, but without giving away the spoiler of my rating, the Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad, is way better. Suicide Squad also had Will Smith in it, by the way, as Deadshot. Shout out to
Okay,
Will
I'm
Smith.
confused.
If you're ever
I'm gonna
watching,
say
you're welcome.
Will Smith, please. I love you. And I basically grew up with him. But I think we should refer to the 2016 version Suicide Squad as 2016 or something, because I was confused. Which one do you like more?
the Suicide Squad, the newest one. But I didn't have as much of a problem with Suicide Squad, the 2016 version, as most people did. There were some. It was like not written particularly well, and some of the characters, like Killer Croc, should have been animated in the same way as Christopher Nolan's Bane should have been animated, or like CGI, or like get a Lou Ferrigno person to like play Bane or some shit. Like I just couldn't. Stuff like that completely takes me out. But it's the newer version. The writing is way better. Even the minor characters that you see, like the Weasel, are like pretty fleshed out. Like they all serve a purpose.
That's what I wanted. I think so what set me off, I guess, and made me really upset but with the 2016 Suicide Squad is that first trailer the last trailer that came out with the Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen playing in the background, and it's a really well cut together trailer. But that's what blew up, and that's what made everyone think it was going to be this, and that's what forced the studio to redo all of the edits and make it feel like the trailer, because it wasn't that. It was the Ayer cut. But I got what I wanted from that trailer in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So that's the energy I felt throughout the entire movie. The music mattered. The characters like made me feel for them. Even the background ones, the ones working in Amanda Waller's office were I loved them. I loved that they were involved in the plot, and it affected some things. That was good.
The 2016 Suicide Squad had like 15 different trailers, because they did like tiny little vignettes for Harley, for the Joker, for Deadshot, which I really loved, because one of the Will Smith vignettes was like, hey, don't forget, we're the bad guys, right? Like, you're not supposed to like us. And I was like, all right, that I'm going to see the movie just off of the strength of that. And then was supremely disappointed. But if you look at the timeline between 2016 and 2021, what's happened in the DC universe, right? You get the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League, and then you get the Snyder cut. And the studios have learned, like, look, let's trust the director's vision. Let's let them do what they need to do. And then we're all going to be happy with the outcome, right? Let's stop putting our marketing hand into this and like talking to focus groups about how the ending should change, or what do you think about this character, and just trust the director's vision. Because
totally,
I believe that the Snyder cut, the Suicide Squad, this most recent movie, finished on time, was under budget, and there were as a result of no pickup shots, right? That information comes with me from Jackie T. Thanks, Jackie. Shout out, friend of the show. But also, I think Cinema Blend did an article on it to reiterate that, like, this was such a streamlined production that like all of these key notes were hit, and then produced such a great film. Studios, take note. Stop being overbearing to the vision of the director that you've hired. And I hope that's going to be a trend that we see moving forward.
I couldn't agree with you more. I really do want that, because a lot of the studio interference never helps. It has always negatively affected the movie, because it just feels like they're looking for the wrong thing. They're looking for something that's already established, like, and they're trying to replicate it. Like, even 2016 Suicide Squad is dated, not only because of studio interference, but because of they did a blue sky beam at the end of the movie. That was like a staple of 2016.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah,
like it happened with Avengers, and then everything did it after that. And it was or every blockbuster movie tried. And it's just so I'm glad James Gunn got to have most of his way for this one.
Let's talk about, because James Gunn didn't do it alone, right? Like there's a whole bunch of people in this film. Like, this is what happens when you have a star-studded cast and people kind of play their roles, right? I also learned this today. So thank you to Jason Bento in the chat for letting me know. I didn't know that King Shark was Sylvester Stallone. I had no idea that he voiced King Shark. But, it's kind of like Groot, right? Like, did you really need Vin Diesel to do this?
Why?
Did you really need Sylvester Stallone to do this? I'm glad you did.
No.
But, it just adds another dimension to like, oh, wow, this movie is like secretly awesome. And I don't need some major epiphany walking out of the theater. I can go and I have permission to have fun again. And I feel like the actors in this are doing the same thing. And it shows. It shows.
Yeah, totally. Because honestly, it's called a superhero movie, but it honestly doesn't feel like it has to be that. except for maybe the ending. But other than that, it feels like it's just grounded characters in a scenario that they're forced into. And I related to all of them, even the weird one. Polka Dot Man has some weird stuff about him in this, like, but the jokes are funny and solid, and they give you just enough to make you know he's crazy, and also keep in line that no, I still care for him. If he gets hurt, I may feel it. You know, I probably won't.
He was secretly an awesome character. Like he was
Yeah.
like one of the more powerful people in that group. Like let's
Right?
be honest. Yeah.
He was the El
Unfortunately,
Diablo this time. Like if we have to compare.
yeah. Unfortunately, he saw, unfortunately what happened to him, but there were a lot of early and unexpected departures in this flick. And also a lot of after credit sort of spoilers, or one significant one that leads you to believe that like, yeah, this Suicide Squad thing is not over. But
I'm glad.
the characters in here, like who was your favorite if you had to pick one?
Ooh, okay, so I'm gonna pick my favorite character, but I'm not going to say he was developed the best. It's Peacemaker.
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker is the most absurd character there, but you get it. He's kind of like, I don't know, he's Peacemaker, but he kills to keep peace. It's just he's so absurd. I love that they doubled down on him and him trying, and all the moments they gave him of him being like snarky back at everyone else. Like it makes me think John Cena is actually a good actor, which I don't think he is. I think he does some roles decent, but think about it. He's stoic throughout this entire movie. And so they're playing to his advantages. He's better as a stoic, big, brooding guy, like with some humor.
And then the lines of, eating if there's a bag full of, if this beach was full of dicks and I had to eat it for freedom, I'd gobble up every single one. And, when John Cena acts, I think about like Leslie Nielsen from, the Naked Gun series.
Here, you can take this back.
Whose is that?
Doesn't matter.
The guy was like an insanely bad actor, but when plopped into these scenarios, it just like totally fits in with the vision of the project. And I like, this is why casting directors exist, right? Because you find that person that fits into the vision of the director, and like if you cast them well, they don't even need to act, right? Like they just need to show up and read lines. So I 100% agree. I put in a question poll into the chat that says, who would win in a fight, Bloodsport or Peacemaker? It looks like Peacemaker's winning. I don't know. I probably would assume Bloodsport because of all of the trinkets and all of the gadgets he had. He just seemed like more efficient killer in my mind.
Yeah. Well, actually,
but they seem pretty even.
That's also, I love in the movie that they poke fun at that idea because they're basically almost the same person, like in concept and on paper. Because even they make fun of it with Amanda Waller going like, you're the strongest man in the world, or you're the best man for the job. Any gun in your hand is a weapon, which is a weird line because any gun in any hand is technically a weapon. But then she introduces John Cena as the same kind of thing, like anything in his hands is a weapon. And he's like, you just said the same thing about me. Like,
I didn't really
being self-aware kills me. I love it.
The conflict between Flag and Peacemaker towards the end didn't really like that seemed to come out of nowhere, especially given the dirty shit you've had to do, Flag, for Waller and the country before, to again put your stake in the ground and say this is the hill I'm gonna die on is nuts to me. Because you know what, you're dead. Sorry, spoiler, hashtag spoiler alert, Rick Flag dies.
Here's the all right, well, you have to deal with that asshole. No spoiler comment, but I even think with spoilers though, you really can't ruin the visuals of this movie. Like there's a lot of enjoyment, like even that scene alone it's kind of reflected through something. I'll just leave that as a surprise because I liked it a lot. But basically that fight scene is a little bit through a reflection, and it's done very well. It's even more tense because you're trying to focus on the reflection and make out who's winning. And you can definitely tell, but it's just that idea and the way you show a fight helps a fight be more tense. And that doing it through a reflection on the object they did was great. But spoiler for that. Oh no, I don't think it was undeserved, by the way. But you say your point, but I don't think it was undeserved at the end.
Well, I did want to shift to my favorite character was Bloodsport. I'm a huge Idris Elba fan, and I'm glad that he kind of crushed this from beginning to end. And what was I going to say about Bloodsport? Man, I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, the character Bloodsport in the DC universe. Bloodsport, originally was a Vietnam veteran. That's how they know Rick Flag. They kind of fought these wars together overseas. And the original Bloodsport was a character by the name of Alex Trent. And Alex Trent was like a Nazi. This villain was a straight up Nazi white supremacist. So I can understand in the 2021 Suicide Squad not having the Alex Trent come in. But the mantle
you
of
should rewrite
Bloodsport, but the mantle of Bloodsport was picked up by this other soldier by the name of Robert Dubois, the Idris Elba character, after accepting a job from Lex Luthor to try to kill Superman with the kryptonite bullet, yada 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 yada.
I love that backstory, by the way. The little, it's really good. It was like, that's all you need.
The other sort of things that I loved about this film was like the main villain, not Mindmaker, but Starro, the big outer space thing, which is like
that's in the trailer,
really
so that's fine.
Serious villain. Like they're wandering the stars, conquering planets because of the telekinesis, telepathic powers. In the comic books, Starro gets a few lanterns under their control because they get the thing on the face, and now Starro can control, like, I think it was like 5 different Green Lanterns they wind up catching. So this awesome. This is not a silly character, but I love that they made Starro at the end sympathetic, right? Because Starro, the last words were like, "I was completely content staring off into the stars before you captured me. Like, why did you bring me here?" Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, did you just make me feel for a giant starfish? Like, I felt for even him. Like, the stakes are real in this movie. They're so prevalent because I love a lot of the updates compared to 2016. And I quote, "What are we, some sort of Suicide Squad?" I think
they said the movie in the movie.
Yay! I think it's a way better upgrade for the villain and for Amanda Waller, and for, I'll say, Bloodsport and Deadshot are in the same category. They fill the same need and the same role. Honestly, the relationship between Will Smith and his daughter in the previous one was so generic and cookie cutter, and in this one it was like, no, it's trouble. This daughter misses her father, but he's like, I'm trouble. There's no good in me. Get out of here. But why would he be saying that if there's no good in him? So there's little rays, coming out from under the woodwork.
I understand. So Deadshot is a way more popular villain than Bloodsport and Peacemaker. That's like Peacemaker is doing the soldier thing in these wars and conflicts. Bloodsport is doing that under the guise of mercenary, and then Deadshot is a more prevalent supervillain because he's straight up in Gotham, in these cities, killing people for money. So I mean, they're on the same wavelength, but their motives are completely different. I would tend to think that Deadshot would probably pick them off at, literally a mile away.
I'm surprised. Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I'm surprised it wasn't just a straight up recast. Like, I'm sure James Gunn was like, I want a new character so the Idris Elba can do his own thing rather than just rewrite over whatever Will Smith did. But at the same time, to make it really feel like a loose reboot, or, which is kind of is, it would have. I'm surprised he didn't, honestly, just recast him. I like Bloodsport more, though.
Agreed. Same. But a lot of the characters that we see come and go, there's time between the original Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad, so you can pull them back to tell a story, i.e., the Flash and hashtag spoiler. Boomerang, right? Because he's like a really prevalent villain in Flash's universe and like the Arrowverse, right? So to not,
they were quick to remove that.
To say, I wouldn't be surprised if in other DC films we see these characters come back in. Like, how much did you pay Pete Davidson for 10 minutes?
Oh my god!
Like,
Okay,
To a character that's supposed to be like he absorbs energy. Like he's a pretty significant character, or
kind of like
the hero is.
I did not expect to like seeing Pete Davidson for as long as I did, but I did. I did enjoy actually watching him. I'm not against him. I'm just not a huge fan of him. And out of SNL, I'm not. I think Kate McKinnon deserves more credit. That's a tangent, but regardless, I did enjoy him. Like when he's messing with the cop or the guard by pretending to like grab his gun. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna grab my gun and break free."
You can't do anything.
That was funny. I think that was in a way even character development, just like as brief as it was. That he just likes to toy with people. He doesn't really care. Like it's great.
The TDK guy, right? Nathan Fillion playing TDK with the slapping of the like. What the hell was that? Like,
okay, that's a real DC villain, and this is what I want out of these films, to double down on how ridiculous some of the DC things are. Like, there's some really weird heroes and villains. So to use, what's his name? The detachable. It's a K, but I don't know the last of his name.
I don't know.
Detachable Carms.
Kid.
I don't know.
We'll
Google it. Yes, you're right. Actually, the detachable kid. But it's only his arms just slapping around. I think double down on that because it makes these characters feel expendable because all of them are so weird. You don't know who's going to go first. And I miss a lot of the people who go when they go.
I like that. I like not knowing, right? I like not knowing who's going to be offed and who's expendable and whatnot. But we do, since this is an abridged version, we do have to sort of get to the end. Pulling this along, I want to reveal my rating. When our rating system is based from 0 to 100, there are degrees in there, but like I draw the line at like 65. Would I make a recommendation? Is this entertaining? Yes. My rating for The Suicide Squad, I'm gonna put it at an 80 out of 100. It is decently entertaining. You can pick it up on an initial watch, not having seen the previous one. It's, as a standalone film, it's really, really fun for a ton of audiences. Some blood and gore, but overall really funny and really, really entertaining as an action movie.
Definitely not a family film. but
could be. You got a mature teen in your house, like
not me growing
12,
up.
It could be. Yeah.
Not me growing up. I think I would not have got away with that. But now I can. I think overall the movie is fantastic. It's the most fun I've had with out of the entire DC movies, excluding a few, like Justice League Snyder Cut is great and the Joker's great. And yeah. So anyway, I think the problems that lie with me that kept me hesitant at first was honestly some of the stuff with Harley Quinn. She's the only one isn't going to die because of her history and how good she plays that character. But at the same time, in this movie, it almost felt like she was a little pulled back because there's some scenes up until a point, like I'll say the end of a love interest. There's where
I fully expected that to happen to that guy, by the way.
Hell yes. Yeah, from the moment it started, like I knew that was going to happen. But I think she didn't play this character as crazy as she did in previous movies. Like she didn't feel like committed to the lines she was saying for some reason. I don't know. That's nitpicking, but I've just seen her more I've just seen her more energetic in the other two, and so that was something I noticed. And I didn't start loving her until the end of that relationship. When the moment that relationship ended, she got better in me, and I was having fun with her the whole time. And it made her ending, or the way they made the ending of the movie with her scene. Do you remember with Starro? Yeah. I think that was pretty much a very satisfying, grotesquely beautiful scene. I think James Gunn does a better job at the Suicide Squad than he does with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, honestly.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
Tall order.
I think
I don't agree with that at all.
I think the second one is more visually stunning than the first one, but the character development in Guardians of the Galaxy at worst is rushed. It's not at worst. At best, it's fine. It's great. But I think there was more development here. I think there was more reason and more weight. I really felt nothing when Chris Pratt was holding Gamora and in space, and and he was trying to die. That's a great scene, but I didn't think he was going to die. There was no way I thought that. In this one, there were tension. There were stakes. I knew who wasn't coming out of it. I knew I didn't know who was or wasn't coming out of this. So I think I'm going to rate this at an 88. I really loved it.
God.
I'm going to see it again. and I think it's a theater movie for sure. Like I'm
Pump the
angry I
brakes.
didn't. No,
88.
no,
Holy cow.
88.
Okay.
88.
Are there any Oscar nominations you want to make in this film, for fuck's sake? Wow.
When
Jesus.
it's 90, it's God tier. So I'm not putting it there. I'm putting it, it's not Parasite levels. It's so I'm putting it still at 88. I think it's an enjoyable ride with some flaws, but the good way outweighs the bad. So that's what I'm sticking to.
Fair. And just to kind of conclude, I think this films like these, especially with this like an ensemble sort of cast of characters, will strengthen the gravity of when these people face off against a Batman. I have a hard time seeing how Batman goes up against a Bloodsport, right? Or like,
I think
how
Ben
would
Affleck's
Batman deal
could do
with
it.
Polka Dot guy?
Yeah,
right.
that's the beauty of it. I want that tension. I don't know who's winning.
Superman has to go against King Shark, right? Like you can't, like there's certain, I mean, I guess if Batman can deal with Croc, he can deal with Shark, but it just,
Yeah,
it definitely raises these villains up. It does a really good job of raising these villains up to the DCEU god tier heroes, right? The Wonder Womans, the Flashes, and the Supermans. So that's the saving grace for me. 88, Aaron, I think you're smoking crack.
nope.
But that's your choice. I want to thank everybody for watching. This has been Warren and Aaron Movie Talk, Suicide Squad edition. We usually stream on the Quest and Chaos channel, so check us out over there. Our most recent podcast was Nymphomaniac review with special guest Raina Gray. So if you want to check out our other content, please go there. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace.